Happy Monday, Bengals fans. Stone Shields on hand for another edition of Bengals Breakdown. And coming up on today's show, Cincinnati hosted a particular free agent that most recently played in the AFC North. We're going to be breaking down who exactly that was and whether or not Cincinnati plans on signing him. Also, we got some more on Trey Hendrickson. Obviously, going to be discussing Trey Hendrickson a lot here throughout the coming weeks. But James Rapien had some information that he got from Mike Florio, of course, a national reporter for NBC Sports, kind of detailing what he believes was the offer that Cincinnati made to Hendrickson, that Hendrickson and his team deemed not enough. So we're going to be breaking that down as well. Also, some more trade rumors on Trey Hendrickson that ESPN is hashing out that we are going to discuss on today's show. Just a heads up, doing a little solo producing here on today's show. I don't have my guy Chris Daughtry with me for this video, so if you see me look down, whatever the case may be, just trying to do multiple things here at once as we progress through today's show. But a big shout out to you guys for helping us get to 19,000 subscribers. It's something that we were chasing for quite some time. We made really good progress, and yesterday we were able to make it official, so appreciate all you guys for being real ones and hitting that sub button for us. Our next goal here at the channel is to get to 20,000 subscribers. Hopefully that's something we can accomplish here in the coming weeks. We'll have you covered all off season long. Obviously, the biggest thing surrounding this football team at this current juncture of the off season is Trey Hendrickson, so we'll have all those details for you guys. And, of course, when the season rolls around as well, we'll have plenty of fun stuff going on here at the channel. So help us out. Greatly appreciate you guys helping us get to 19,000. Next goal here at the channel is 20,000 subscribers. Hard to believe. When I took over here, it was about 8,000. We have certainly come a long way. All right, so the guy that was in Cincinnati today visiting with the football team was Montravius Adams. He came in for a visit, and he most recently played his football with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, you might be thinking, well, former Steeler, why would he come to Cincinnati? Well, it's something that Cincinnati has done in the past. Obviously, one of their best players on defense over the past several years was, of course, Mike Hilton. And Hilton, of course, came from the Pittsburgh Steelers. And also, there's a really notable connection here with Montravius Adams and the Bengals defensive line coach, Jerry Montgomery. So Adams actually played under Montgomery at the beginning of his career when he was a member of the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, Montgomery had a really quality tenure there as a coach with Green Bay. And if you remember, T.J. Slayton, who, of course, is going to be starting for the Bengals at that nose tackle position, he was also brought in as a guy that was a Jerry Montgomery guy as well. So I think the familiarity there with Montgomery certainly makes Adams, appeasing to Cincinnati. Now, at this point, as of filming here at about 4:45 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday, Cincinnati has not made a contract offer to Adams. We will see. I'm sure more reporting will be done on that here in the near future. We will see if ultimately he ends up joining this defensive tackle room. Really, you could use another piece. It's pretty thin, right? You got your two starters there in B.J. Hill and T.J. Slayton, but apart from those two guys, it's a lot of youth at that position. Obviously, Chris Jenkins Jr. going into year 2 here. The Bengals hoping for some good things there. Their second-round pick out of Michigan last year, and you also got a young guy there, your third-round pick from last year, McKinley Jackson there out of Texas A&M. So certainly a guy that you want to come in and perhaps offer a little bit of a boost to this young room. Obviously, Howard Cross III, Gregory Barnett, all those guys are young guys. So I think bringing in a veteran could perhaps be a good thing for this football team. And, another note here on Adams. He is 29 years of age, was a third-round pick back in 2017 out of Auburn. He was first-team All-SEC in 2016. Started out with his career in Green Bay, as we mentioned, with Jerry Montgomery. A little bit of time in New England, a little bit of time in New Orleans in these past few seasons with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not a guy that's necessarily out there a ton, but I think he was a good rotation piece for Pittsburgh and a true professional, somebody that I think that could certainly boost this room for Cincinnati. Do you want the Cincinnati Bengals to sign Montravius Adams? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section of today's show. Type Y for yes or N for no. It is, by the way, the pinned comment of today's show. So if that ad comes here on YouTube, that's totally fine. You can ignore it. Take advantage of it. Get down in the comment section. Let us know what you think. All right, so we got to spend some time here talking about Trey Hendrickson, and it came out over the weekend, so I feel like it kind of flew a little bit under the radar, but I viewed it as a pretty significant report from Mike Florio over there at NBC in regards to what exactly this offer looked like that Cincinnati proposed to Trey Hendrickson. So if you remember, Hendrickson said this when he was addressing the media. Yeah, there was an offer made by Cincinnati. They want him to be here, but Hendrickson and his team felt like it was a low ball offer. Let's read into here what Mike Florio had to say over the weekend. He said, Hendrickson is due to make $16 million this year. The Bengals, we've heard, have offered roughly $28 million per year. Whatever the amount, as importantly the structure, he wants more. Hendrickson has real value, but he doesn't have much leverage. His options are simple and few. 1, take the team's best offer on a new deal. 2, play for $16 million and become a free agent in 2026, unless, of course, the team franchise tags him after that point. 3, hold out and hope the Bengals will cave. Have plenty of thoughts on that here around the corner, but do real quick, got to give a shout-out to our friends over at Fanatics. Let you guys know that Bengals Draft Hats are still out. They are still available. You can go get them. Chatsports.com/Bengals Draft Hats. Got a few of these myself. I think this year's model really is one of the best ones they have done. That white one right there in particular is pretty stinking cool. So really recommend you guys get over to Fanatics, check some of that out. We'll put that link in the comment section and the description of today's show. That's chatsports.com/Bengals Draft Hats. All right, so here is the highest paid edge rushers per year in the National Football League. Obviously, Myles Garrett up there at the top with that $40 million per year figure. And then you got Danielle Hunter, who kind of, that certainly was bad news for Cincinnati when he saw Danielle Hunter get that kind of contract that he got. He's going to be making over $35 million. And if you can see, Cincinnati had him in that $28 million range. Again, kind of a rough estimation there from Florio, but I think T.J. Watt certainly is a guy that's going to see his contract go up there as well. So the Bengals are putting him kind of within that top 7 as far as edge rushers go in the National Football League. He, of course, is offended by it because he sees these stats right here, and he goes, well, I've had 17.5 sacks the past 2 seasons. I'm a lot better than some of those guys on that list. And obviously the big issue here with Cincinnati, I would guess, is the fact that they don't like to guarantee money beyond the first year of a contract. That's something that they never do. They broke it 3 times. Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase. Obviously, those guys are special exceptions. Are they willing to make another special exception for a guy like Trey Hendrickson? It doesn't seem like that is the case. Again, is that what's necessarily holding it up? Is he mad that the $28 million per year figure is too low? Or is it the fact that there is not enough guaranteed money as the contract goes on? That is the question. I believe it is probably the latter, right? But now when you're talking about Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase, those guys were all 26 years of age when they signed those contracts. Here with Trey Hendrickson, he is 30 right now, and they would be guaranteeing him money when he was 31, 32, 33 years of age. Obviously, that's not something that Cincinnati loves to do. They're a little hesitant here with Trey Hendrickson, and ultimately, he's got a big decision on his hands. Seems like he's pretty, bent on holding this thing out until he gets a new deal. Cincinnati is very stubborn as well, so kind of one of those situations where get your popcorn ready. It's just going to continue to be interesting and entertaining, and I don't think we're going to see anything get done here in the near future. It's just a matter of which side caves first. Is it going to be Hendrickson? He says, you know what, I'm sick of getting fined. Shoot, I'll play out one more deal, or just sign the contract for the $28 million, right? Shoot, that's way more than what he's supposed to be making, right? So, in my opinion, shoot. They're giving you a good deal here because you're only supposed to be making $16 million, and they're offering you $12 million more than that. So obviously he wants to be paid a little bit more than that considering the production on the field, runner-up for the Defensive Player of the Year, what have you. I don't think Cincinnati is really selling him too short. I know a lot of people are going to scoff at that, right, and say, oh, how dare you offer Hendrickson less than $30 million per year. And my response to that would be, hey, one, yeah, the production was great, but in the run game, what can he do for you? Yeah, not much in the run game. And does he necessarily always show up in the biggest moments? I don't know. But I think the most important aspect of this whole situation is the fact that he's been great for you, but your defense still has not been good at all these past couple of years. Cincinnati, Trey Hendrickson obviously got to work through some things here throughout the offseason, but I did think it was very, very noteworthy that we saw some numbers thrown around by Florio, really the first time we have seen that. Now, question for you guys here in the comment section of today's show. Should Trey Hendrickson play for $28 million? Again, it's $12 million more than what he is under contract to make. So really, this offer from Cincinnati, if this is true, of course, from Florio, is a pretty good deal, right? Again, he's frustrated because it's like, well, that's not, top 5 in the edge rusher market. I get it, but it's a heck of a lot more than you're supposed to be making. So let me know what you guys think. Should he be playing for $28 million? Type A for yes or B for no. All right, before we get out of here on today's show, ESPN also had a piece up, dropped their best NFL team fits for the remaining free agents and also trade candidates as well. And, of course, naturally, Trey Hendrickson's name was tossed around a lot in the piece. We're going to be breaking down what Matt Bowen had to write here for ESPN. This is what he said. He said, after being granted permission to seek a trade in March, Hendrickson is refusing to play with the Bengals until he receives a new contract. If no deal comes together, Green Bay would be the perfect landing spot for him, as he'd pair well with Rashawn Gary and Jeff Hafley's defensive system. Lucas Van Ness, a 2023 first-rounder, is still developing at this stage, so there is a path for Green Bay to add more to its defensive line. Now, we put out a video a couple of days ago kind of detailing, hey, the top fits for Trey Hendrickson in the situation in which he was traded. And, of course, we had Green Bay on that list as well. But my stance on this really hasn't changed a ton, right? Could I have seen a Trey Hendrickson trade go down prior to the 2025 NFL draft? Yeah, I think it's something that could have happened. But Cincinnati wanted to keep him in the building because he's a really good player. And from their perspective, they had a really good contract. This is kind of the thing. People are hating on the Bengals. Oh, how could you not pay him? I get it, right? But they really did a tremendous job here with this contract, right? They got him to sign this deal for, playing for $16 million, and obviously he is playing above that contract. So really, you could spin this and say, yeah, well, the Bengals are, cheap for not paying him, or you could just say, oh, the Bengals did a phenomenal job with this contract with Trey Hendrickson, and unfortunately for Hendrickson, he probably should be getting paid a little bit more, but Cincinnati really did a great job. But kind of back to this trade situation, I really don't think they are going to move him since the draft is in the rearview mirror at this point. But if they are going to move him, they're not going to be looking for 2026 draft capital. They're going to be looking for a player that can come in and play right here, right now, and perhaps start for this football team. Again, this guy was a runner-up for the Defensive Player of the Year. If you're dealing him, you should be getting a starter back in return. The name that we just threw out in the quote, Lucas Van Ness, shoot, he should be coming to Cincinnati if you have to send Trey Hendrickson to Green Bay. Again, all a very hypothetical situation. I don't think Cincinnati really has much reason to budge here, right? They've got all the leverage, as Florio pointed out, as we've always pointed out here throughout this offseason. At the end of the day, Hendrickson's either going to have to say, you know what, I got to take this money from Cincinnati, even though it's a little bit less than technically I should be making, or I just got to play out my contract. But from there, you got to risk, the franchise tag, and it really could be a mess for you if you are Trey Hendrickson. I think the best thing to do in this situation is sign the deal. I mean, obviously it's millions and millions of dollars we're talking about here, but what's he looking for? 33? Like, if it was 30, would he be all right with that? If it was just that $30 million mark as opposed to 28, would he have signed it? I don't know. Again, I do think it's probably the guarantees down the line that are holding this thing up, as it typically is with the Cincinnati Bengals. But regardless, Trey Hendrickson has a big decision to make. I would be surprised if Cincinnati opts to move him at the end of the day, but Green Bay certainly does make sense for both sides. Make sure you guys give me a follow over on Twitter at StoneShields_. All of our Bengals Breakdown content will be posted to my Twitter page. I believe we're like 5 followers away from 600. So let's try to get there here on today's video. Really appreciate all you guys. Give me a follow over on Twitter at StoneShields_.